art was my outlet. Nobody bullies me in the playground if I'm doing art. It was a safe place for me. And early on, I saw all these people make universes and make worlds happen. And like, that's my ultimate goal. Like, even with tattooing, being in my life, stuff like that. My ultimate goal is like when I'm dead and gone, I want to have I want a universe of like my own creations. I like be the person that inspires those types of things to get created. Right. Whatever's up there, whatever creative being is up there that made us and put us on this earth and passed on the energy, I refuse to believe that there's some type of grand design beyond that we don't even know how to comprehend.
Absolutely. Beyond us.
And the only way I can do that service, the only way I can convene to whatever I feel maybe God is like during the process, even in the flow state, even, you know what I mean? Like when I'm in the mix of doing what I'm doing and when I'm done, I realize the magnitude of what I've created, be it big or small, no matter what happens, like at the end, I'm like, yeah, man, like that's, I don't know. Sometimes you don't even realize how you've done that or have done something for so long. But like in that process is when I'm speaking to God in my own terms.
Oh shit. Here we are, episode number 9. And we're so excited, dude. We're so happy to have you here. Dave Tevenal.
Thank you for having me.
Dave Tevenal in the house here with us. And I probably won't give his introduction justice, but Dave, just to let all our viewers and listeners know who you are. You're just a fucking artiste extraordinaire, bro. Like,
yeah, man, I'm the leading skinfluencer. That's what a new term we're giving ourselves.
Leading skinfluencer, I like that.
I don't fucking call myself
That's so awesome. Skinfluencer.
I work in the skin industry with my colleague Ignacio here. It's a tattoos.
Dude, tattoos. You've been a mural artist for forever.
Yeah,
You've been an illustrator for forever.
Yep, that's my trifecta there. Tattoos, drawing, and murals, man.
Dude, totally, man. And you've been crushing the game for forever as well. I don't even want to put a set of numbers in terms of years of how long you've been doing this, but goddamn, you've been killing it, bro, for a long time.
I have been trying my best in order to do so. I have been trying my best, especially within the last 5 years after the diet apocalypse we all had, the sugar-free fucking, just the dry run of the end of the world. Like, all right, guys, take one.
The trial run, like the diet version.
The wedding reception, the practice, the wedding rehearsal of the end of the world. All right, guys, you guys are going to ruin all this shit. We need to go back to the drawing board. And there's not the real end of the world goes down that we're fucked. But post-COVID, yeah.
Yes.
It's been harder for a lot of us in the creative field.
For sure.
But, yeah, that's what I do, man.
That's how we met. That's how you're here. Obviously, worked together for many years.
That's my period of my pyramid. My pyramid.
That's your period.
My period. My pyramid of art influence is those 3 things.
Yes.
This is gonna be a fucking silly.
This is gonna be amazing. This is gonna be so amazing. I cannot fucking wait.
We already started beyond off screen.
Yeah.
Some wild shit. So.
My face already hurts.
I know, man, and it's just gonna continue on for however long this takes.
With a touch of seriousness, I'm gonna be serious about it.
Yes.
On the other podcast we had recorded, I was coming off of being sick, so I sounded like 2 rocks covered in fucking lotion grinding together and somehow making like some voice through it. It sounded pretty silly. I was like sniffling and stuff, but I'm way better now.
Yes.
I just got off of finishing a convention in Kentucky.
Yes.
And it always takes I call it convention voice. So like after a show, especially that Monday, if you're screaming at people too much, like your voice is completely shot. So I'm trying to be. You know what? I'm not as bad as I normally am. I can hear myself through the microphone pretty well.
You sound better than when we did Dos Boricuas in Ohio.
Like fucking Dos rocks in a fucking bolsa. Fucking shaking around is what I sound like. That's the word. That's the word for a bag for you uninitiated out there. Bolsita, bolsa.
Wrong podcast, Dave.
Seriously, wrong podcast. I know blends together, Holmes.
That's bullshit. They're all going to be listening anyway, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all, dude. Let's dive in, man. We really want to just kind of dive into just you and your process and your things.
Oh yeah.
But the first thing is, you're obviously known all around the world for your tattooing, your murals, and your comic book work, which I feel like we should dive into as well, because that's been a big passion for you too.
That's the least known about what I do too.
And that's part of your illustrative background.
It's the genesis of all of it. Take
us back to the beginning, before all of those things. Like, what pulled you? What was your first memory that pulled you into art?
I got it. Oh my God, I got it. My dad was a nerd as well. I'm gonna take a.
You can put it on the table, bro. You can keep it right on here.
My dad was an art nerd just like I was. And he had a lot of Disney drawing from the animation studios. They put out these huge books. I don't know how he got them. I should ask him that next time I see him. But they're like hardback books with like a vinyl, like not vinyl, like a linen like wrap to them. They look serious, like Bibles almost.
Yeah.
But you open them and it's like literally from the animation studios of Walt Disney. And these had to be something that was there.
Like the original sketches?
Not the sketches, no. Just like basically like a compendium style guide for like aspiring, illustrators that want to get into animation through Disney. My dad had all these books, and yeah, man, I'm not. Now that I think about it, I gotta ask him how the fuck he even had these things. But I would go through, copy the fuck out of them. He had a lot of Boris Vallejo art and books and calendars and stuff. So I would draw so many boobs and dudes and muscles and shit.
Yeah.
Everything had abs.
Yeah.
Like the more muscles, the better. I had no idea what anatomy was even about, but you were getting arms, abs.
Yeah.
Like 8-packs,
Butts,
42 butts, boobs, tons of tits.
Yeah.
So many tits.
I
And
mean, Boris is
pumped-
known for that.
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
and I was
clearly.
pumped like when I would draw a tit, like a healthy tit,
Yeah.
like the areola and nipple separation, and then I was like, oh fuck, I'm stylizing the right way, dude. It's like that and learning how to draw Ninja Turtles, like their bandages with like flowing fabric.
Yeah.
Are the two like 3 or 4 year old hacks of me. Yeah, I was drawing tits since I was 4. Fucking deal with it, no big deal. But those are the like things I was like, oh man, you could tweak things and make them cool. We're like actually like little things I learned from like those early instances of those books. And having things around. My dad also had like David Mann paintings.
Boris Vallejo.
Oh yeah, and his wife Julie Bell. She did a lot of really cool shit too.
Sorry. Boris. There we
Yep,
go.
yep.
Boris right there.
And then Frank Frazetta. My dad had Frazetta
Yep.
art hanging
Yep.
out too. And then
Yep.
David Mann, who did a lot of like the biker art for Easy Rider.
Yes.
He's the one that always had like a calendar, like kind of like the fold out poster inside that had
Yeah.
like chicks riding upside down on dudes with like ape hangers and shit.
Right.
So things like that. But there was a bookstore near my dad's like place of work in Houston, where we're from originally. Where I'm from originally. My dad's from Puerto Rico, but that had a lot of like old comics and dusty books. And the old man that ran that spot, if you had A's and B's on your report card, he gave you a comic out of this like little free comic bin.
Hell
and they
yeah.
weren't like great comics, and
But still.
but it was still
It's incentive, you know?
And I'm like, man, I'm like fucking first, second grade. And I'm like, yo, for real? My dad's like, yeah, man, he gets free comics out. And I was like, oh shit, fuck yeah, run that, dude, because I'm not a slouch. I got A's and B's, baby. So I go there, and I get my first little stack of comics. One was like a partial Marvel encyclopedia that was broken down by alphabet. And I remember that, and I would take those home. I read all of them. One was like a West Coast Avengers comic, another one was a Justice League comic. And that shit started off the most unhealthy obsession I've had to this motherfucking day. I was like maybe 4 or 5 when this happened, so like 36, 35 years. I'll be 41 this year, so ever since then. And it was just comics. And then graffiti came into the mix afterwards through the influence of my older cousin Angel that passed away. And yeah, my life has just been ruled by those two things until tattooing came into my life.
And when did you start tattooing? What was the year?
It's
been like 20 years, right?
It's arguable. I'll keep that to an eternity. Yeah, I'd say the better part of 2 decades.
Better part
I
of 2
did
decades.
some questionable shit in the early years. So I'll keep those under wraps. That's for me to know and for me to tell you in person, not on a podcast. But yeah, but I've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The better part of 2 decades is
Yes,
good.
exactly.
It's good enough.
Exactly.
Yes.
You know, questionable environments, questionable materials, questionable motives, questionable exchanges. So.
What do you think as a kid though is what drew you to art? Like besides seeing you said your dad was an artist as well, right? Like, but
Yeah.
what drew you? What propelled you to sit down and do comics and do? You know,
Isolation. Isolation was a big thing because I wasn't around a lot of kids growing up in my earlier years. My brother, we're both adults now, but our age difference is not that crazy now because like he's 38, I'll be 41. But back then he was a kid, he was a baby, so like he was doing baby stuff and I was trying to draw and like, we didn't have the best upbringing. Like we had a lot of problems and things like that. Like, I'm sure a lot of people have had who are products of the 70s and 80s.
sure.
Nobody had the shit down. Everybody was trying to figure it out. And in that isolation and speckles of traumatic events, art was my outlet. And art was the only place I knew that I can go and immerse myself in where nobody can yell at me for being too loud, too out there, Nobody's going to call me to come running home with the streetlights are on if I'm at home just doing art. Nobody bullies me in the playground if I'm doing art. It was safe. Art was my safe place, and I could make and draw or paint or write. I like to write a lot too.
You'd be too loud sometimes? You would be too loud.
Man, you know what? Who'd have think, right? Really?
What's wrong with
I
that?
never agreed with that critique about me. No, that's the one I was like, yeah, that one that's never sat well. I still don't get where they get that from. But yeah.
Oh shit.
Whatever. But yeah, loud and proud, baby. No, but yeah, it was a safe place for me. And early on, I saw all these people make universes and make worlds happen, and like that's my ultimate goal. Like even with tattooing, being in my life, stuff like that. My ultimate goal is like when I'm dead and gone, I want a universe of like my own creations. Like I want to have like, I want toys. I want to make toys. I want to make cartoons. I know I can't do them per se, but like I want to like be the person that inspires those types of things to get created.
Right.
At some point. So
that's amazing, dude. That's amazing. And your work, I mean, obviously I know your work so well, and it and it is propelling in that direction where like you are inspiring. You've been inspiring other generations of artists, and who knows what will come, right? As your legacy.
I'm nowhere where I want to be. I'm nowhere where I want to be.
Right.
That hiccup that was COVID is like, man, that's like it fucked me up mentally because I went through a depressive slump. I didn't make any art for myself and others for about 2 years, and like it wasn't a matter of me just being lazy or something like that. I was just like, like this. The psychology of having to deal with the way the world has changed to today's standards was a hard thing to accept.
Yeah.
And I'm still like working my way out of it. Things like this, like you getting me out of my house to do podcasts like this and stuff like that, and me getting myself out there to do shows again. Like last year, I did 17 conventions for the first time since maybe 2018.
Yeah.
2019. And last year was the first time I got a call back to go work a Comic-Con situation that Marvel had a hand in,
Yeah.
And that was awesome. And like little things are getting me back out into the fold. But like there was a while where I just shut myself off in the world for about 2 years after COVID.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm nowhere where I want to be, both in my tattooing and my painting and my art and stuff like that, and my illustration work. I got a lot more I want to do.
I'm sure it just keeps your fire going, bro.
It wasn't going for a while, but it's reignited, and it's things like these that are getting me out there to like hit that passion back up. So I thank you for that.
Yeah, dude. We're so grateful that you're here, and we obviously Aaron and I both. I mean, that's why we've gotten involved in trying to do this, is to like, have people speak their stories, man, and tell their truths, and get their stories out there, So we're grateful that you're here, man. Seriously.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for all of the laughs that are coming. I know.
Oh yeah, I'll steer it out
it's
fucking
coming.
Sentimentalville real fast.
It's fucking coming.
That's the most saddest the series is gonna get me saying I was poor and I got free comic books and the COVID was really rough and my paintbrushes. I'll get way the fuck out of that real quick, dude.
No, but I think it's important to point out that even though you might have had some rough beginnings, you fucking, you pulled yourself out of that shit and you made something of yourself.
And things happen, man. It's ebbs and flows. I know
Exactly.
a lot of us, man.
All of us go through that shit.
Creatives
All of
are
us.
going through that shit right now, dude. Like,
all of us.
I know the one saving thing that I think helped me out the most when managing the perspective of like how sad I got over the last couple of years. Being single and coming out of separations.
Sure.
I was with somebody for a super long time, and like, that relationship ending right at the same time as COVID, that fucking ruined my life.
Yeah.
Because like I had
it shut your life down,
I had
right?
a routine with a partner that was also a creative, and like, she had other things on the menu that wasn't your boy, and I had to reestablish my lifestyle somewhere else. You know what I mean? And I went back, came back to Columbus, I came back to the center to regroup and reconvene and shit like that with myself, and I never really did. And like that was a compounding amount of things. But one thing that, as I was getting through that stuff, I realized so many other people are going through it in the exact same way or a different fashion, because your war is different than my war and vice versa. You know what I mean?
Right. Everybody's going through shit, man.
Everybody's going through shit. And that's one thing I realized too, as a man, like, for once, I really, really understood the adage of like, man, we're all going through it.
Yep.
Because a lot of times beforehand, like, it's easy to get selfish. Like, oh, man, well, I'm going through it now.
Right.
That's all that matters.
Well, it's easy to do.
Yeah, it's easy. Your ego's not your ego, but it's there for self-protective purposes, right?
Exactly.
And this is the first time I was like, man, we're all fucked.
Yep.
fuck, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
it's all of us.
Yeah,
Yep.
seriously, man. I was like, damn, this is crazy. Because, like, I can joke about it was like a dry run apocalypse or diet apocalypse all day long. But still, that was the first time we encountered something like that. We're like, hey, everything you know and love is now on hold for like till bureaucracy sees fit.
Totally, bro.
You know,
totally.
like, I'm not gonna get into the fucking schematics of politics or science because you know I ain't a politician and I ain't no fucking scientist.
Exactly.
But I know one thing I couldn't do is go to get fucking. I couldn't go to Giant Eagle and buy fucking exotic fruits at 3 a.m. because that bitch was closed because everybody's sneezing on each other. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I couldn't do that shit, and I learned that DoorDash is fucking sick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I still order everything. Sometimes. Cat food, kitty litter. I don't want whatever, man.
Yeah.
Fuck, shit.
Yep.
Sorry, that was I thumped the whole stage here because I'm fucking excited. You know, I'm drinking energy drinks.
He hasn't had caffeine all day, everybody.
Yeah. Whoa.
So it's on.
Yeah. No, but like it's you know you understand like everybody's going through this shit and like people are still on out of it. You know what I mean? And now our world has ultimately changed both creatively.
Yep.
Because everybody got used to being at home. And that's one thing too. So you had to either like learn to make your home the coolest goddamn place on the planet, or really cool with it, or like you just learn to fucking hate it. You know what I mean? And then, you know, that fucks with the creative mind state too, because
It does.
I'm painting murals outside. So
Of
thankfully,
course.
I had an outlet through the Lookout Supply guys here in Columbus that had open walls to paint. I was able to go paint walls.
Yeah, get out.
and get that out. And that was a big part of my content during COVID.
Yep.
Was I would be able to get out and go paint those open walls that they had over on Wilson Road and Broad. And shout outs to Justin, man. Thank you for that. That was a big release for me that year. But I would do time lapses on these panels. And that was my way to make content when I couldn't tattoo.
Right.
When painting at the house was just like, man, when you're in the house for a long time and you're painting over and over and
It's
over
so
again,
stagnant, right?
and sometimes I'll let the fucking, and don't act better than me, y'all out there watching and listening. But everybody does it. Every creative does it to whatever form. Even if you're working out or you're just doing art, like sometimes the music will stop and I'll sit there in fucking silence and just bust out shit for hours.
Yeah.
And just chasing my own thoughts in my head.
In that
Yes.
flow state.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm just like, whoa, man, I'm thinking about some wild ass shit. And then I have to snap myself back out of it, you know what I mean? And you can only do that for so long inside of your house before you start fucking, like I was talking to myself and shit. I was like, nope, we got to go outside, take a walk or go paint or do something, you know? So I got back into doing graffiti, like graffiti,
Yeah.
which I'm not going to get into incriminating details and shit. But yeah, man, like, also, nobody gets hurt in graffiti, by the way, unless it's other graffiti writers hurting each other. But like, it's a victimless fucking crime. You're spray painting a fake name on something old and decrepit.
It really is.
It's
ridiculous.
it's a great time. I recommend everybody to do it and just not get caught.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that was the outlet set during COVID and whatnot. And then when things got back together, we're just forced to assimilate like nothing happened
Right. Right.
before that. And then I'm watching online, like my friends in California or in Michigan or New York, not be able to work for a year.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, what the fuck is this, dude? So I don't know. It changed the landscape for all of us, and it made me realize that we're all going through some type of fucking crazy life altering shit where our routines are completely uprooted. And we're having to put the pieces back together that we never asked to get fucking jumping up to begin with. You know?
It's like we were propelled to create a new normal.
Yeah, forced, absolutely forced.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
With
Exactly.
our kids, even, dude. Man,
Exactly.
like my daughter's like, she missed that whole fucking year, dude. I feel bad for all those kids that did drive-through graduations, dude. You see that shit? I'm like, man, what the fuck is that, dude?
Some didn't have graduations at all.
At all,
Yeah.
yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Or they
Bro,
did it on
and
Zoom.
yeah.
I remember some did it on Zoom.
What?
Yeah,
Ugh.
like on Zoom calls. Like they had kids on Zoom calls.
What, they send you a diploma emoji after you're done or something, dude? Like,
So-
I mean, here you go, dude. You did it.
So terrible,
Yeah,
dude.
it's not
so
cool,
terrible.
man. It's not cool. I don't know, man. Things are fucking just strange. Yeah, now we have this, like, this is our new normal.
Yeah.
And now it's right back to the way it was.
Yeah.
It's like it never happened.
Yeah.
It's like
and,
a bad
that,
dream.
and that pisses me the fuck off. You know what I mean? I was like, yeah, like a lot of us, like, what did we just go through?
That's bullshit.
Like,
Yeah.
not 2020 was like, it's 5 years ago. It's it feels like it was the longest year ever
Yeah.
from now to then. But
And it feels like it was forever ago, and it feels like it was yesterday at the same time.
Yeah.
it's fucking bizarre. It's
Right.
the weirdest time dilation I've ever experienced in my life.
Distortion of time, you know?
Absolutely. It's weird.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but yeah, you know, we're going through it now. It's a different set of rules now, man. Because now I got to really force myself to get motivated
Yeah.
to do stuff. Because like, I don't know what happened at ain't old age and stuff. I think it's just like my mind is like just been so used to the way things were that like I don't know, like it's just been rough.
Yeah.
But I'm like I said, I'm feeling it again. Like doing 17 shows a year is not easy, and I
No,
did that shit
hell
last
no,
year,
dude.
and I did it kind of like effortlessly. I just kind of like I didn't realize how tiring it was till it was done. when I was home in November.
Yeah.
After Vegas and shit. I'm like, oh, whoa, shit. Did a lot of stuff.
That's crazy, dude.
And it felt good. It felt cool. I was like, okay. And I did it like without knowing. Like it was the old times again. So I'm hoping that stays that way this year because I just did my first one for the season.
Yeah.
So
man.
I got a couple of Comic-Cons to do, which are a little different than tattoo shows
But
this year.
that's still awesome,
It's
dude.
fun, yeah. And I'm going back to it, man. I have to. Like it's who I am.
Yeah.
You know, but
That's
and I
awesome.
say that just to relate to the fellow artists out there that are going through slumps and low points. Good. I mean, that shit's normal, dude. It's
And
gonna
for lots
happen.
of different reasons too, like, economic reasons.
Yeah. And to feel that way, you're valid in that feeling too, because like, everybody should feel valid in their feelings. Their feelings shouldn't be discounted.
Of course.
Especially with people who are creative. Like if you're not feeling something and someone's fucking with you, man, what we do is already super interpersonal.
Exactly.
That way,
Emotionally expressive.
Exactly, man. Even if you're a tattooer that does stylized tattooing, man, like the way you express things and how you do your art that is being sought after for people to wear is case in point, like somebody else resonates with what you got going on too.
Yes.
Because they're willing to wear what your expressive version of an image should look like on their body.
Totally.
And that's crazy. That's
It is
one thing
crazy.
That's not crazy in a bad way, but it's crazy. And it's like, dude, like that's one thing I try to remember to like always keep in mind that this person's choosing to wear your weird ass tigers that have underbites.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
I'm like, dude, cool. Or you're like skulls that have like a lot of goddamn elephantitis growth on them
Yes.
and shit. Like, I'm like, this is cool, man. Thank you so much, dudes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's an amazing thing what we do.
Yeah.
Permanently
It's pretty
marking people, and we're literally changing them forever.
cool. Yeah. And they somehow resonate enough with how we do our pictures to wear it. And that's fucking cool.
It is.
Like a lot, big time.
It is.
And I try to remind myself as often as I can that, like, you, dude, you're lucky to have it like that.
Definitely.
For real. That's all.
I'm going to switch up a little bit here, but it's still sticking to the artistic side of what you do. And this kind of taps into what we talked about during our podcast. So growing up in Houston and being Puerto Rican, obviously, how did your cultural identity shape your voice as an artist early on? And how does it influence your work today? And I'm going to add to that, being from Houston and being Puerto Rican, again, we talked about this before, and your feeling of isolation or separateness because you didn't fit the mold per se that maybe others would in Houston.
Yeah, man. Was it too brown to be down, or not? Was it too white and too white, not brown enough? There's some adds to it.
You said it perfect when we talked about this.
Yeah,
before.
I know I did, but yeah, it's whatever, man. I wasn't white enough for the brown folk, and I wasn't
You weren't brown enough to be
folk.
down.
Yeah, I'm fucking beige walker, like Blade. I just walk the line and shit, little half breed running around all crazy and Latino-y and shit. Latino-ish esque.
Latino.
Beige-ish. I don't fucking know, man.
Beige-ish.
I'm a frappuccino person. Thanks, mom and dad. No, Houston's we have a huge Latin population in Houston.
Right.
There's a lot of Latinos live there, and murals, not just graffiti, but murals, man. If you even go back to like the older artists in the olden days, like murals are a huge part of our cultural identification.
They are.
Every major cultural city, center, metropolitan hub in Latin America or the Caribbean or South America, anywhere, or any city with a heavy Latin presence.
Totally.
We've relied on large-scale murals to help rally the people together, to give people a sense of identity when they're walking around places. Unity.
Yes.
Community, and not so much. And that's a big part of murals of awesome colors and good motifs and messages and things like that can rally the people and can also oppress the people and make people it can make them
propaganda.
Bingo, that's exactly the word I was going to go for. I think it can fuel propaganda. It's a double-edged sword with how important murals are, and
that's true.
Latino cultures have used that for both reasons.
Yes,
for hundreds of years. They're finding on old building structures and stuff like that, there's this technology that can test the rocks for trace amounts of what pigments were used for colors, and show people that murals are being used for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years for things, especially in Latin America.
That's wild, man.
And it's fucking crazy, man. It's crazy how like that much has been prevalent in our cultures. If you go to Puerto Rico, there's tons of murals.
Yeah.
Cuba, DR, Miami, anywhere.
Atlanta.
And why, of course, it would when graffiti would pop off in the 80s. Or no, not the 80s, the 70s, but more so. The advent of graffiti, as we know it was spray paint being done on trains, was done in the 70s.
Yes.
And, of course, a lot of Latinos would gravitate towards that medium. And that's what happened. I'm living in Latino cities between Boston and Houston. Is where I had that duality with growing up, mostly in Houston. And then my cousin, Angel, who wrote 3D, DBM Crew in Boston, shout outs to DBM Crew. They're very still active, very talented people who I've had the privilege of being able to keep in touch with even after my cousin passed away. A lot of us Hispanics and Latinos, like, we gravitated towards graffiti. And, of course, it's a kind of like a no-brainer how that would come into play. And I would see a lot of murals growing up. And when I was a kid, I was like, man, I want to do that. Man, I can. And that's what I wanted. It's in my head. I was like, I can do that. So countless times, my dad has been missing so much spray paint in the garage when I was a kid. And I'd be darted off because we had a lot of these like hurricane storm drains all through the city because we get hurricanes fucking on average. I mean, now it seems like we get them every fucking year. But growing up, man, every like 3 or 4 years, you got a tropical storm every year and you got one good hurricane every 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
In the Gulf Coast. And Houston's on the coast. People don't, we're not like in the fucking middle of the desert rootin' tootin' fucking cactuses and shit. We're on the coastline and shit, you know? And I would paint through storm drains, like a lot. And that started that. And then I got involved in like the actual social aspect of graffiti. And
what about the cultural aspect of graffiti? Did you feel like growing up in Houston, you sort of adopted that part of it, or you just kind of ran with the fact that
here's where shit's gonna get crazy for you, man. Like, and I'm not trying to derail the sense of the podcast, but something I thought graffiti was expression and love and cool and hip hop and awesome. And when you get involved in the actual scene of graffiti, you realize that nobody cares about graffiti other than other graffiti writers.
Right,
and you're doing it for accolades,
right, street cred,
and to show that you're better than these other motherfuckers. Yeah. And essentially, man, for all intents and purposes, I joined a fucking gang.
Yeah.
And it led me to, I've had my eyeball kicked out of my socket. I've had foreign objects shoved sharply into parts of my body that almost killed me over graffiti. Yeah, like getting fucking cut open over graffiti is fucking shitty.
Yeah. Totally.
You know, being in the hospital like damn near about to die over graffiti is fucking shitty, and it happens, man. And it sucks, and you realize that. And
where does that beef come from? Like from covering other people's shit up?
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of just like, you know, if you're the new kid on the block, they want to test you and shit.
Yeah. And the competitiveness of it, you know, the dirty street competitiveness.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of that going on and stuff like that. And like I realized that was happening, and having been the victim of some of that stuff, I don't know why, but I just adapted and I went fucking 10 toes down. I got very involved to a point where if I had not stopped that level of involvement, I'd be fucking dead or fucking incarcerated for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? Like it's not fucking cool. But like that tenacity behind something that was creatively driven, like I know that being a bigger dude, I can't do all the crazy ass like high street spots and whatnot. So I stuck myself to doing like chill, like the trackside walls, legal walls, a lot of legal walls, which because I did a lot of those, I was determined a pussy, amongst like a lot of my contemporaries in the street environment and whatnot. And trains, you know, just things that wouldn't hurt nobody, you know what I mean? The records would take time and flex. So like my whole thing was like, yeah, man, you may call me this, that, and the third, but I wanted to get good enough to where like, you know, I got jumped a lot and I got beat up a lot. And then it turned into a thing where that stopped happening real fucking quick. I was like, okay, cool. Now I'm going to be a menace. So on top of me being able to beat the shit out of you, I'm going to be able to burn you. And like, you can't paint as good as me. You can't. Yeah. And like, just there's things like that. And
that's the culture of graffiti, though.
That's the culture of graffiti.
At least it was, right?
At least it was. It's not the way anymore. And thank God. And also not thank God that it's
elevated, right?
Yeah.
The genre has been elevated. It's a lot more
safer. You know, now we used to get, when I won the Secret Walls competition a couple of years ago at Scully's, they gave me the mic, and I was like, I'm happy that you guys voted for an actual graffiti writer with a graffiti writer background, because at this bar here at Scully's, I was kicked out of this motherfucker 15 years ago for writing my fucking name in the stalls, and now I'm winning a graffiti competition on the stage inside this exact same fucking venue.
fitting is what it is.
The same way as like when how we used to paint graffiti and stuff on places and whatnot. Like people didn't want to give us legal walls back in the day because they were afraid of what the message was going to be conveyed and things like that.
For sure.
And now if you have graffiti on your fucking walls, it ups your property value.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because that means like, you know, everybody wants to be Wynwood now.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be fucking Bushwick, Brooklyn now. You know what I mean? Everybody wants to be fucking the Mission District in San Francisco. Everybody wants to be East Downtown Los Angeles now.
Yes.
You know, everybody wants like how Tacoma and Pacific Northwest has Underworld. Everybody wants that type of shit to be fucking out there and cool now. But in reality, man, a lot of people like they shed blood, shed tears, shed sweat, shed their livelihoods, their lives. A lot of people passed away during a lot of stuff too, man. You know,
end up incarcerated.
Yeah, or fucking, you know, just a lot of things like that. Yeah, people's lives are irrevocably changed for graffiti. To make it like where there's just this street art mecca now where like so many people can go to fucking CCD used to have a graffiti ban. If they found out that you wrote graffiti, if you got caught, you were expelled from their college.
I remember that.
Now they have a fucking street art fucking focus on their damn educational curriculum now.
Shit.
What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
That's insane-o, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're encouraging kids now to become tattooers as they leave fucking art school. And they didn't like that shit either back in you and fucking
Totally.
when you were in art school, when Karen's art school
early
back then,
90s.
They were not cool with that shit, dude.
No.
You were gonna go out there and fucking light a church on fire as far as they were concerned. It's
crazy.
And you know, you got that now. Which is, you know, it's just different. Graffiti is what got me into tattooing, though. That's the joke in tattooing or in graffiti is that tattooing is a retirement because it's an oral history-based tradition where you got to respect what's come before you. At least it used to be that way, which is graffiti and tattooing. And both are having a problem with that as we speak. But it's oral history traditions. It's passed down stories. It's things you got to learn. You may not have per se an apprenticeship in graffiti, but you're hanging around with older writers and older dudes who are doing it. You're going to pick up on how things are done the proper way that sets a seasoned graffiti writer's piece out from a toy, which is what we call somebody's inexperience.
That's essentially an apprenticeship, right?
Yeah, bingo.
Especially back in the old days.
Exactly. So that's what happens. You got to be around people who know what they're doing in order to get, like, you know, to assemble your inner tools to make things for yourself.
Yeah.
That separate your work from amateur work.
Totally.
And that's how the tattooing assimilation came in so easily from graffiti. You know, and I took that tenacity that I needed in graffiti to prove myself amongst a very tough crowd that was pushing itself against me and, like, you know, basically fucking trying to kill me.
Yeah.
I used that tenacity to double down hard in tattooing because I learned too that, yo, man, fuck, like I'm getting shit on in tattooing. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, well, you know, I can't just go like fucking beat up my boss or my mentor or some shit if I'm upset about something. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I got to prove myself to people that want to get tattooed. So I got to work my ass off. So I adopted a psychotic regimen of just like putting myself under the gun to make as much work as possible. And I did for a long time to the point where that became like my modus operandi on how I produce at all times. Is just to make a lot of everything, be prolific, but having style meet quantity and quality meet in the middle.
Right.
You know, I don't want to put out like 1,000 bad pieces. I want to put out 1,000 great ones. Right. But, you know, it's that became my work ethic, and I became known for that. And
you're still known for that.
I am. I'm trying to tell people it ain't the case anymore. But whatever. I guess I did that much stuff. You know, like and that's cool to look back on and see.
Well,
but
your
like,
reputation precedes you though too. You know, like people they expect that. You know, or they assume it is what I should say.
I mean, I play video games now. Yeah. I sit down. I watch fucking TV.
That's good, man.
I watch the Super Bowl and the Puppy Bowl. I watch all sorts of shit. I sit down and chill out, man. I watch movies. I be crying during movies and shit.
Yes.
Like, you know, I be listening to music alone. Thinking about stuff on my couch. I pet my cat a lot. You know, I have no partner in that, so I'm just alone all the damn time. I read comic books. I'm pondering the rain and shit, dude.
Pondering the rain.
I just hear a violin playing like right now.
Straight up. I might pick that up, dude. Fuck that shit, man.
Oh, that's so
hey guys, come to my violin seminar.
That's so great.
Oh, man, I'm different now, dude. I mean, I still make art, man, but it's like
You're looking at it differently now.
Absolutely, man. Ain't no fucking, it's a marathon, not a sprint, dude, or whatever they fucking saying. I'm not even trying to be in a marathon, dude. I'm just trying to move, man. I don't really care. I want to have fun. I have a project I'm working on right now where if I'm going to fucking focus on getting myself all put together to make pieces, I'm going to not, so I know that after one or two pieces, I'm going to just start hitting a stride again, and I'm going to keep wanting to go through things.
Yeah.
So I want to do a poster, or like a Japanese style fucking ukiyo-e style, like, how I do my Illustrator Japanese type of thing for every martial arts movie that Wu-Tang ever sampled from the 36 Chambers album.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's a great idea, too.
Crippled Avengers, the 8 diagrams of pole fighting, fucking Lone Wolf and Cub. I'm not going to add into that because it's Japanese. I want it to be strictly Shaw Brothers Chinese films on this particular one. There's enough Japanese-based stuff I can do separately from that, but I want to do like the Kung Fu Shaw Brothers Golden Harvest films that they sampled from the 36 Chambers. Each movie from, where you first get your first fucking Pai Mai fucking Gordon Liu character and things like that.
Yeah.
Just Crippled Avengers, 8 diagrams of pole fighting.
That'd be an interesting art series.
That'd be funny as shit. So we're just like,
So
yo, get on
fucking
that pole,
funny.
girl. No, Crippled Avengers, 5 Deadly Venoms, 36 Chambers of Shaolin, the Drunken Master,
Drunken
the
Master,
OG
yeah.
Drunken Master. And then there's one called The Old Dirty Bastard.
That's right.
And then I want to do one of each of those. There's 8 movies they sampled in that album, so I want to do 8.
That's awesome,
pieces.
dude. What a great idea.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. I want to do that, and I think that'd be a cool one. People, if you get it, you get it. If you don't get it, and especially it's Wu-Tang's last year touring.
Right.
This is their last year.
Final
they're doing-
chapter, yeah.
Where all of them will be together, and we saw them.
They're playing here in Columbus.
They are, yeah.
So I saw them when they performed with Nas 2 falls ago, like a year and a half ago.
Oh, yeah.
At the Schottenstein, and that was all of them. They brought YDB out, ODB's son from Canada. They
no
brought him
shit.
out, and he did all of ODB's parts.
Did it sound like him?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We saw him before in Canada. We were at Dundas Square at North by Northeast during a convention, and we saw YDB there. While
You went to
Raekwon-
North by Northeast?
North by Northeast happens in Toronto. It's,
Did you see City in Color?
No, I didn't see. This was in 2013 and 2014, and I was during Raekwon the Chef's, Raekwon and Ghost's set. They brought YDB out. I've seen City in Color in the States.
Same. We just saw them recently in Cincinnati.
Dude, Dallas Green's a beautiful voice man.
Dude.
That man's got a crazy,
Dude,
beautiful
it's amazing.
voice. But we saw that show. It was amazing. Like even Master Killer, he's like losing his voice a little bit. Yeah. But even he was on stage. I was like, this is crazy. Like they ended it with Nas. Nas would do 4 songs. They do 4 songs. They would go through their set back and forth.
Nice. That's awesome.
And the last one, Nas did 1 mic, and Wu-Tang ended it with Triumph. And the Triumph's one of the only songs where every member is on that shit.
Right.
And it was fucking tight. Wow. So it made me pumped to do something like that. That's my next little project I want to go through.
That's awesome.
I was going to do all the zodiac signs, or the Chinese zodiac signs, but you have one of the ones I attempted to rap there.
Remember, because that's I'm you.
That was the start of that project.
I believe that was one of your birthday gifts to me.
Yeah, I'm you the rat as well. Yeah.
Cool.
I only did the tiger, the rat, and the chicken, the rooster.
The rooster, yeah.
So I got more to do, but I'm going to redo them because I don't even make things like that on Procreate in that style anymore. Or not style, but that approach.
Yeah.
My approach is very different now.
Well, they're all awesome, and I
appreciate you, man.
Hold them dear, bro.
I'm leaning in a lot of like more digital illustration based stuff too, because it's easy to just I can set up, I can set my desk.
Yeah.
I can work on that. I can work on that when I'm at airports, because I'm traveling a lot more now.
Right.
So I can work on airplanes, airports.
That's great.
At home, at work, when I'm at conventions and I'm not busy, I can do it anywhere.
Yeah.
And there's that, and then a comic book. I have a comic book idea that I've been having for about 10 years that I really want to work on. That I really can't talk too much about because the storyline is fucking sick. It's about my kid. And I don't know. It'd be tight. It's going to be cool.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
So when you hit creative blocks, like what kind of rituals do you do to get out of that?
So
you talked a little bit about blocks earlier, but
yeah, man, creative blocks are fucking nuts, dude. They suck when they happen, and burnouts are even worse. And I was told by some older friends of mine in the business that, like, hey, man, you're working so hard, you're working so explosively, your burnout's going to be worse than probably your average person's burnout.
For sure.
Because the crippling weight of what you were making, being met with absolute nothingness and wanting to make it, is going to be really, really, really hard. It's like an equal give on each side. And I was like, yeah, whatever, go fuck yourself, old timer. Man, these motherfuckers are right as shit. Boy, that burnout hit me like a stack of fucking, like a whole building fell on me, dude. And they're right. I've had two major burnouts in my life. One I'm just getting out of right now. No matter what you're doing, if you're cognizant and you're understanding that you are existing in a burnout phase, and you're overwhelmed and you don't want to make anything, you can't even think of anything to make even for just fucking fun. A lot of times, even if you have a burnout or you have creative block period, you've got work to do. Like I got commissions I still have to fucking finish, man, that suffered during my little recent fucking breakdown I just had.
It doesn't end.
It doesn't, and I feel bad for the people that have like offered me, the opportunity to do these pieces. I'm like, I'm gonna get these things done, by hook or by crook for sure, and they have faith in it too. So I hope. But like, it doesn't care how busy you are or what you've got going on. The shit will fucking hit you. And my best thing that has helped for me is just as long as you force yourself to sit down and put the supplies out there and things you have to do and just like look at it long enough that you're going to just put the first fucking drawing or first curve or pencil into motion. You got to get your hand on the thing you're supposed to be doing. And the rest will come. The hardest part is situating yourself to get it going. Or keep it as fun for you as possible. Like what I'm doing with the 8 posters I want to make for the Wu-Tang Kung Fu movie sampling stuff. I'm focusing and leaning on something that I'm passionate about that goes beyond the art shit to give myself more of an incentive to work on that. So incentivize yourself. Set up your station or place of work that makes you feel most comfortable in working, and put all the things out that you have to, because the moment you'll keep walking past it and ignoring it, the more you're going to fucking guilt yourself into being like...
Feel like shit about it.
It's like the stack of dirty laundry that you see in the corner, and you are running out of clothes.
Yeah.
And you can't wear your doo-doo panties to fucking work because you're going to smell like doo-doo panties, so you got to fucking wash your clothes, dude. Like, it's going to be like that,
I mean, like what you said, like half the battle is just getting started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or treat it like it's a pet. You're not going to let your dog or cat starve, right? You know what I mean? Like, I would hope you fucking don't. You know what I mean? But treat it like it's like that. Like, you got to water this plant. You have to do something. If it's who you are, if it's not who you are, then just don't give a fuck about it and go about your business, do whatever, you know what I mean? But if what you do for a living creatively is intrinsically who you are and it's that important to you, you will water that plant at some point in time. You will feed that when it's hungry enough, because it'll attack you. It'll come at you, man. It'll be there. It'll linger in your mind. It's not going to go anywhere, So if you set up that area and you look at it enough, like so many times I'll have my desk out and I'll have like paper and pencil there. And maybe I won't want to work on it every once in a while when I come home from work, or I'll go out and get a couple beers. And like, I love sports. Sports I've leaned on big time too since COVID. Like, I've always loved sports, but sports are a big thing that I lean on. And even sometimes I'm thinking about like, how can I just redraw certain mascots for the fucking NFL? Anything to tie yourself to something that you intrinsically love outside of that.
Yeah.
To incentivize you doing that. And it may not be that dude who's been wanting his commission for fucking 2 years. You know what I mean? It may not be... XYZ, that fucking, my mom loves fucking Lady Gaga. She's always wanted a picture for Lady Gaga for Christmas, but you don't want to fucking draw Lady Gaga. You know what I mean? Like, it ain't got to be that. It could be something that you fucking like and have fun with. Just incentivize it some way, shape, or form to get you to want to go do it. Because the moment you start doing it and you make one or you make two, and if you're anything like how I am, you're going to fucking keep it easy enough to make them fun and can do more of and try different things, and you'll be back to the races in no time. I think at least this worked for me that way, and I hope it works for other people that way too. Just try to find a way to make it fun.
That's great advice.
So when you get in that flow state, do you feel that like there's like a higher source or a divine energy that's going through you?
Yeah, I live by a thing, not so much a credo per se, because I wouldn't want to put that at the end, like what we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
But I'm very much in tune with the idea of being guided by ghosts. I feel like if I'm on this earth, breathing air, making people, or at least practicing making people, and fucking eating food and burping and shit and doing things, just farting up the air and fucking putting bad jokes to be listened to on electronic fucking waves and shit. I better do right by the people that died or couldn't do it before me, When it came down to graffiti, I always thought about my cousin Angel and all the things that he wasn't able to pull off in his lifetime while he was here on Earth. And I think about all that kind of stuff. And it's like, hey, man, like, I would like it if I had a cousin down the road get super into graffiti and become really good at it and make a name for himself in it and be able to use it as a vehicle to find other outlets that would ultimately get him in a good creative state. So I've lost, sorry, I'm fucking sniffling here. I lost a lot of friends coming up in graffiti that have passed away. A big part of why I tattoo is my friend Roy. He was murdered right when I started tattooing, and I got some of his apprentice tattoos on me. And I've made a promise to the universe at large that I was going to fucking do my best to be as proud of, make that man as proud as he could be of me as one of my best friends that I ever had.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's those weird supernatural type things that live in the back of my head where my friends live on, where like, if I didn't make the best of my time here on Earth to make them proud, or just to make a fucking huge goddamn dent or a loud fucking noise, I would be doing the life that they spent on Earth that was cut short or disservice. If that makes sense. Or all the sacrifices my father made for me. My dad never said no to books and art supplies because we were poor. And that's a big part of why the fuck I popped off. My dad is an artist and creative as well, and he didn't get realized for his potentials when he was in his prime, and he retired, you know, in the workforce field. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't retire as an artist or anything like that. He's an artist, you know, for sure, but that wasn't his profession.
Right.
And I'm not gonna. I love my father. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not gonna do that. Like, I'm gonna die an artist. Like, it's just what it is, man. You know, I'll find a way. You know what I mean?
It's who you are.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'll find a way. No matter what, I will find a fucking way. And
Yeah.
that's one of those things I rest on that too. Like, I've always have found a way, and I will find a way. But yeah, those are the things like I have, I guess, like, you know, kind of hover in the back of my head, on top of like my work ethic and stuff.
Let's tap into that a little more in terms of like spirituality and tapping into, you know,
You can get spooky if you want.
the
I'm all
unseen.
about
Oh,
it.
we'll
Light
get
some
spooky.
candles and shit.
Yeah, dude.
Dim the lights. Get a little fire in the middle, dude.
We're so about the woo woo on this podcast, and I think we say it every time that we have an episode, and we call it the woo woo because that's what it is. But,
Yeah. Oh hell yeah.
That's why we started this shit.
Exactly. And this is something that I can relate to because I definitely I agree with what you're saying in terms of you tap into or you feel connected to your ancestry, your
Absolutely,
lineage,
yeah.
those who were here before you. And my father was also a creative. He was more into music than anything. And I don't know to what depths because he passed when I was 5, but I kind of feel the same way that my creative force is being driven by something outside of me.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm getting at and what I'm referring to is do you feel like tattooing and painting, muraling, do you feel like this is like a spiritual practice for you? Do you feel like there's something guiding you, right? That leads you into whatever, your ideas, your concepts, and then and then performing them.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's my seance with God. Like, doing what I do, like when I'm doing my art, like I said before, like, nobody can tell me I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm put on this earth by whatever, you know, more than just my mom and dad having fucking a half hour of unbridled passion. You know what I mean? I'm more than just like their good times. I'm just, you know, I'm a cum goblin. I'm more than that, dude. I'm more than that shit. I'm a human being that I gotta breathe air. I have energy to expel.
Yes. You have energy to expel. It's a great way of putting it.
The only way to fucking, like, whatever's up there, whatever creative being is up there that made us and put us on this earth and passed on the energy. Because I'm not an atheist by any means. I'm agnostic, if anything, I guess, you know what I mean? But I refuse to believe that there's some type of grand design beyond there that we don't even know how to comprehend.
Absolutely. Beyond us.
And the only way I can do that service, the only way I can convene to whatever I feel, maybe God, is like during the process, even in the flow state, even, you know what I mean? Like when I'm in the mix of doing what I'm doing and when I'm done, I realize the magnitude of what I've created, be it big or small. If I do 1,000 small things, I do one huge fucking thing. No matter what happens, like at the end, I'm like, yeah, man, like that's, I don't know. Sometimes you don't even realize how you've done that or have done something for so long. But like in that process is when I'm speaking to God in my own terms. I can't quote what I've said to the person. And I don't ask for shit because it's not Santa Claus. You know what I mean? I'm a firm believer that what you get, if you want something, you go fucking work for it and get it done. If you don't have it, then you just don't have it. You know, maybe somebody be charitable enough to give you something. That's cool, but You know, when I'm there, I can't tell you what I say or what I think about, but I know that I'm in the right place and I'm in tune to the fucking universe at that point in time. And that's my main that's my convening with God.
Well, wishing requires action, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It requires
for
action.
sure. And like, you know, praying is cool. I pray a lot. I pray for things or whatever. I say, yeah, man, like if somebody's in ill health, I'm like, man, fucking hope this, I don't know, man, whatever that is, throw it that way. Like, you know, like in a good way. But yeah, man, like I feel like it's totally like a lot of that push to make and do what I do is, like I said, that's my seance or my convening with God.
Do you feel like your hand has ever been like, literally, has your hand been? Have you ever felt like your hand had been guided by something outside of you?
Absolutely, all the time. Not tattooing. Tattooing is very much because like you've repeated the process. It's like when you say a word too many times in your head, it loses its meaning. It's not like that with tattooing, but because there's a sketch process, even if I'm freehanding the tattoo on there with a marker or whatever on the body, I'm still drawing it first as a rehearsal before the tattoo.
Right.
There's a sketch, then there's a stencil, then there's the tattoo. There's steps before that where you're going through the process with two people to make that tattoo. Tattooing, I don't have that feeling with that. I never have with tattooing.
Yeah.
Tattooing is one thing that I've done that's like more on the lines of a trade or a craftsmanship type thing.
Sure.
It's art, yes. It's art in the building of the idea side of it. But the actual application, that's trade work, dude. That's
very technical.
It's trade work. You know, I cannot be expressive with somebody's body to the point where I want to like, I'm gonna wispy, you can't do that. Like you got to make sure that's that motherfucking picture there.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Your expression stopped at them wanting to get tattooed by the base on how you draw. You know what I mean?
For sure.
But painting, drawing,
muraling,
muraling, graffiti, the letter expression. Because I have a whole lettering side of me that nobody fucking knows about.
It's true,
and I can't really put this stuff out there because of things and whatever. But that's where like I've done stuff where I'm like, how the fuck did I even fucking do that? Like, especially like when you're like sitting there painting something big and you're standing up and you're getting down and doing things like like a certain shape kicks out for some fucking reason. You don't know where, but it happens. Like speaking in fucking tongues.
Exactly.
That's the best way I can put it. And I had a lot of Puerto Rican Pentecostal people growing up in my family. And I've been to muchos iglesias, and I've heard a lot of palabras. Palabras that were not palabras in Espanol or any fucking language.
Yes.
That I'm hearing. I'm like,
that shit ain't even Latin.
Nothing. What are you speaking of? Wingdings, motherfucker? What is that shit?
I used to go to a Pentecostal church, so I heard that shit
straight
all
up,
the time.
man. Yo, straight up. That was some real shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So like it's like speaking tongues, man.
How do you nurture that connection? So you
don't know what's happening. At least for me, I don't know what's happened until like I'm like, whoa, shit.
But do you feel that there's like I don't know what the word is, that there is there's a relationship between you and that feeling, because it's a feeling, right? How do you cultivate it?
You can't summon it. And at least for me, you can't summon it. You just got to put yourself in a situation where you're receptive to it. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. So how do you do that?
How
do you do that?
Like getting over your block, dude. Like, you just got to make sure you put the things in play. Like if I walk past that piece of paper or that canvas I got on my fucking draft table with all the supplies are next to it, ready to fucking rock and roll. If I go walk past it, that thing will fucking yell at me,
It'll
dude.
call you.
And maybe that's part of the spirit or some shit. And it's like, hey, fucking finish me, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, fucking work on me, bro.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
Put down Call of Duty, man.
Yeah.
You gotta, come on, I need an outline.
Right. through the material part of it, right? It's material. It's like you visibly see it, you can touch it, right? It's tactile.
Yeah, for sure. I don't get that too on digital stuff also.
You don't get it.
When like that weird like fucking spiritual flow state, I don't. But what I do to try to mimic, to try to bring that into that, is I never sketch on the iPad. I have this big ass 18 by 12 sketchbook that I'll do crazy expressive dragon heads and things like that. And I draw with my elbow to get the whole body motion and stuff, so it makes it got more purpose.
Yeah.
And then I'll take a photo.
Picture.
Yeah.
And then refine it.
And then I'll ink the pencil drawing I did there, just to make it have more soul. Because I don't want to be one of these motherfuckers that you see a digital piece is just like cold and removed and digital and too like hard and stuff. Like, I want to fool people.
You want to give it life.
Yeah. Give it soul, and that's like a good way to do that for me.
That's fucking awesome,
man,
dude.
But I just got to put myself in a position.
We just covered a bunch of questions too with just that, like the creative process.
Totally, yeah.
That was part of what we were going to ask.
Totally.
It's so awesome.
It's implied in there as well.
Yeah.
But as long as you put yourself in the position to make the pieces, or the things that you want to work in. It's harder to do for muralists, man, because like we don't have access to a lot of open walls and legal walls to do that.
Sure.
If you're a homeowner and you want to get into doing large scale graffiti, spray paints, like can art and things like that, and you're a homeowner and you have the ability, make yourself a really cool 8x14 wall. 8 feet tall, 14 feet wide, just like a couple panels from Home Depot. Make sure they're treated because it's going to be outside. If you don't treat it, the wood will bow and break over time.
Sure.
Get a couple of fence posts. If you don't want to damage your yard, get the 5-gallon buckets from Home Depot, put a 4x4 in there, and just measure it the right way so you can make yourself have a cool little wall.
And have it be up.
Yeah, have it be upright. Yeah, have it be up off the ground. You can move it around where you need to.
Do you feel like there's a difference to, again, tapping into the divine, we like to call it, that helps you through your creative process, right? That there's this flow state. Do you find it? You were talking about how like tattooing, you don't feel it. Digital, you don't necessarily feel it. Drawing and painting, you feel it. But when you're muraling, because you're covering so much more ground and it's so much larger, don't you feel like it calls for more energy? Because it's so much bigger, so much grander.
When I'm done painting in a day, I feel like I did a workout. Like, especially like, so if people go to my Instagram, I have a pinned photo of a mural I did for my friend Stephen Monet in Little Rock in Arkansas. And it's 56 feet long and it's about 18 feet tall.
Wow.
And there was scaffolding and things and like, and I use roller paint on broad areas, but I matched it all with my spray paint colors. Mm-hmm. And it's one of the coolest, biggest things I've ever painted. And I'm very proud of it to the point where I'm still sharing it now. As if it's like I just did it because like many times during that, I did it in 3 days, which is insane to me.
Wow. Yeah.
I was able to pull it off in 3 8-hour periods in a day. And in that process, man, like, you're doing all this crazy stuff and I'm finding out really cool, expressive ways to do things. Cause like with paint like that, it ain't don't have to be outlined. There's a lot of textural things you can do to it.
Totally.
To pop things in the foreground and background.
And how are you visualizing, right? Cause you're up close while you're painting. You can only reach so far.
So I took a stick and I taped chalk at the end of a stick, like a broomstick. And I just did
you sketched with it?
I sketched. I got videos of me doing it too. I sketched where shit should be at. So, and I was just
roughly, you mean? Like roughly
things, and just like the rest was just fucking a la prima, just going at it, and hoping for the best, and it worked out, thankfully. But it was things. There's moments like that where I had.
Can you imagine, dude?
No.
I'll show you guys videos later on about that.
Do you feel like? Sorry, I'm kind of going off the tangent, but I'm just curious as your thought process with your creative process. Do you find that the more rigid, the more refined you're trying to make a piece, the less you feel connected?
Yeah,
the less
absolutely.
Like the looser, right? The
when I do a stencil tattoo.
Because tattooing, you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
I guess it just depends on what you're tattooing. But
so that's why I like freehanding a lot of my tattoos too.
Sure.
So like if I take a picture.
But even with that, even though you might be freehanding it, when you begin the technical aspect of the tattoo, it has to be technical. You can't be loose about it.
But I can be when it comes down to the prep on it. So that's where like I try to this is me cheating the system a little bit. Is where I want to get expressive. I started adopting the freehand mentality, so I can just draw and be expressive.
Yeah.
On that, but I'm still like that's just the rehearsal part of it. That's just the design there. The actual act of tattooing is very
rigid,
composed, and trained,
technical,
craftsperson, technical. Yeah. But that's me like having my cake and eating it too is by freehanding all the stuff on. I can't freehand all the time. Like someone wants something that's gonna be geometric. I'm not gonna fucking freehand a fucking pocket watch.
Right.
No, brother. I'm gonna go to Procreate. I'm gonna make this fucking perfect and shit. But
right. There's some things obviously you can't get away from.
But if I have any chance I can to fucking flex a little bit and put a little bit of fucking flavor in the mix, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it. It's just.
And do you think that that's the divine speaking through you? Meaning.
Oh, that's trying to color outside the lines a little bit. Like put me in here too, man. You know what I mean? That's for sure. But I gotta shut that fucker up sometimes.
Why?
Because it can't be too. I can't overpower the person wearing the piece.
Right.
With my work,
I guess I wasn't just talking about tattoos, but.
I wasn't talking about just about tattoos. The divine and all that stuff and the rest of everything else I fucking do, hands down for sure. So. It's just tattooing. You got to have that. It's a 2-person situation.
It is. You're sharing that energy.
Yeah, and I can't overwhelm that person or overpower that person's their contributions with just even simply sitting down and getting the tattoo is enormous. It's enormous, dude.
Totally.
It's crazy.
What an honor, right?
Yeah,
what an
absolutely,
honor.
man. Like everybody that's ever let me tattoo them, man. Like I don't ever take that for granted in that regard. Yeah, maybe I'm late on an appointment. Maybe I got to reschedule some things here and there.
Right.
But if you're letting me do what I am good at doing, and you're not like fucking backseat driving, and like, I get a lot too, man. People who book me for something and I don't do that style. You know what I mean? Like, for those who actively seek me out and let me party and do the best I can on the tattoo that they want, man, that's fucking huge. And I never lose sight of how awesome that is.
It is
and
awesome.
I live in their grace for letting me do that.
Right.
You know, so.
I'm kind of like the opposite in terms of tattooing, right? I do a lot of realism, photorealism. People bring pictures of their dogs, their grandmother who they lost.
What have I always called your piece? Like, you do impossibly good tattoos, like impossible tattoos. I can never do those things. Like, he can. He does them all day.
Master at it.
Oh, absolutely.
But what's
for
crazy?
Sure.
Thank you guys. That's,
He always
that's
has
humbling.
I've done that shit for as long as I've known him.
But you know what's interesting is, like, I don't have a choice in terms of like the subject matter as much as you do, obviously.
Yeah.
So writing it off itself, right off the bat is what I'm trying to say is like, I have no choice but to be rigid because it's this person's grandfather. It's this person's dog that
could
they
make him
just
look like
lost.
Zappa or something
You know?
crazy like that. Let's give it a mustache. I want to make like Wyatt Earp.
Yeah.
My grandpa wasn't even white. I don't know. Sorry, man. Wouldn't be cool if your grandpa looked like this guy. It's like this fucking Malcolm X. I don't fucking know. I don't know. Sure, dude. Nah, you can't do that, man.
It's funny.
Yeah.
So, as a Puerto Rican artist, what does it mean to represent your people through your art on a global stage? And I'm talking about, right? You've been honored by Puerto Rico. You were given an award. Was it the last time that you did the PR convention?
Man, y'all.
okay.
He gave me an award for being an honoree.
It's fucking
For the
amazing.
convention for being a Puerto Rican tattooer of note.
Talk about that. Talk
It was
about
cool. It was cool.
your pride, bro. Your PR
My oldest
pride.
brother
in
was
that.
there to see it, and he got to see like how serious he lives. He lives in Puerto Rico. He got to see how big of a deal it was, and a scale that I don't think he ever really understood.
Because that's a global stage, even though
That's
it's
a huge
Puerto
show,
Rico.
man.
Yeah,
There was like, I mean, a third of the attending artists were from Europe. You know, which I thought was pretty cool. And like he had
Puerto Rico of all places.
Yeah, seriously, he had some of my favorite tattooers I've ever whose work I've ever laid eyes on there in attendance. I was working next to James Tex. He's my favorite tattooer.
He's so
my
amazing, bro.
Like him and Peter Lagergren are my two favorite tattooers. Like
He's
up there.
he's absolutely amazing.
And watching him work and watching the efficiency in which he worked and how beautifully he worked, it was insane, man. And that was like super huge for me to watch that in Puerto Rico of all places. You know what I mean? It means a lot to be. There's been a lot of times I've been in countries in Europe where I thought I was certain I was the only Puerto Rican that was there. I worked.
Really?
Oh yeah. All right. It'll throw you into perspective. When you're in Helsinki, Finland, working the Helsinki Tattoo Convention, and I know for a fact I was the only Caribbean Latino in that whole entire goddamn vicinity, let alone that fucking hotel room. Or that hotel ballroom. Same with the Poland shows. When I worked the Krakow and the Warsaw shows. Yeah, it's a big deal, and I remember that. And it's the thing that I keep in my head too. Is like, yo, like I am. When they see the little Puerto Rican subdued flag I put on my prints, when they see it tattooed on me, when they see like I keep one on my banner. When they see that, sometimes I just brought the flag. That's the same size as my banner right next to it.
The black and white one?
Yeah. Sometimes I bring that, and it's just I keep it there. I rep it, man. I rep it. Like it's just
What's that mean to you?
It means a lot. It's just it's a cultural exclamation of who I am. You know. And anytime anybody asks about that, like in Ohio, it's funny because my present landlady thought it was a militia flag. Because it looked like the
Ohio
flag.
militia?
Yeah. So is that like a militia or something? I was like, ma'am, no, it's not. It's the anti-colonial Puerto Rican flag. It's the subdued and distressed Puerto Rican flag. That's what it is. She's like, oh, okay, nice.
The rebellious Puerto Rican flag.
But it's cool because I'll entertain conversations about it. And I like to talk about it, you know, and it's cool. It means a lot for me to do that. It's hard to put a set grouping of words to describe it verbatim, other than like very important. You know, it's an extension of my identity that I can tell the world at large without having to talk to any individual person about that. It's me putting it out on Front Street. It's like, you know, why any flag gets waved,
of course,
for recognition and for you to understand, like, you know, what this person's coming from, and like, you know, that person. And Puerto Ricans, we are culturally involved in expressing who we are. at all times, which people can hear about on the other podcast.
Yeah. Very true.
Something I'm gonna move on to this one point here that's on here just because it's an easy segue, and I wanted to talk about that.
Do it.
Because it piggybacks on the importance of why representing myself as a Puerto Rican tattooer is a thing. Another thing I'm going to be getting into, which may take precedence over the Kung Fu poster that I want to do, is I want to touch on Taino culture imagery, especially the lack thereof, and where I, as a person who, through my 23andMe that we took, does carry matriarchal, indigenous blood from, the Caribbean. I want to tap into that realm of spirituality a little bit more, cultural spirituality.
Yes.
By making, some of my own, Taino-based masks. Not Vejigante masks, because those are different.
Yeah.
But I want to make some of my own Taino-based masks and imagery and things like that. But I'm waiting to consult with Y'all Z down in Puerto Rico about that, so I'm not coloring outside of the lines or doing something that is a little bit out of different, not to disrespect the, our culture as far as it goes indigenously.
Yes.
I want to explore that more, so I may wait on that one, but I definitely want to do a series of Vejigante masks, which are a little different. They're not so much as Taino-based versus they are it's the cultural expression of warding off evil spirits and things like that.
Yeah.
But I want to definitely get into doing some things like that to represent Puerto Rico furthermore in my work. You know what I mean? Because that's where the shit's really deeply rooted. And that's where the shit can be really, really, really expressive. But
that's staying within the ancestral lines,
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's not like drawing a fucking coquille with a Jibaro hat.
Right.
Playing a fucking flamenco or something.
Right.
It's not. or a couple of maracas.
El cuatro, right? It's called el cuatro.
4-string, yeah, 4-string guitar. But yeah, it's it's deeper than that, and I want to wait to where I can educate myself more.
Yes.
And especially now having somebody like Yaz, he's a very good friend. He's an awesome person, and having him being directly involved with the indigenous identity of Puerto Rico.
Yes.
And him being a representative of that and involved in that community. And having him be a good friend of mine, I want to consult with him about that.
It's great.
To learn more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So especially having somebody who knows it at my disposal, I want to be able to learn more about that before I venture into something that I'm going to be going into completely blind, outside of what people know in the history books.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but that's what I want to weave in from Puerto Rican culture to my work. Because anything else, because I haven't, to answer that question that's on here about how it works, how elements have been put into my work.
Sure.
I haven't done that.
Right.
Because the examples I would have done would be just way too literal. And I feel like it's going way too literal is way too, it's like cheap in my eyes. I want to make something more, not literal, but more, you take the idea and it's expressive enough to where it becomes its own type of thing that beckons a person who views it to ask oh, what's that from? And then you get to educate them as far as.
Of course.
That's the whole point of the piece in that regard.
Right. You're drawing them in.
Yeah.
Not making it completely and utterly obvious.
This is a Puerto Rican flag. These are, this is an island. You know what I mean? It's.
Well, this touches on the diaspora that you and I have been discussing now for a while, right? Because of that, it's we have a sense of disconnect to a lot of the Puerto Rican history because we were raised in the States. Mm-hmm. So we as grown adults now, we want to be more educated.
Yeah.
Learn more so that we can draw those elements into our work.
Yeah, because they're ours too.
Yeah, exactly.
And we want to learn, and we want to do it right by what's there. So yeah, I feel you.
Makes sense.
So who or what has guided you the most on your journey, not just technically, but in terms of soul and vision?
Yeah, who are your mentors, bro?
My father, first and foremost.
Right.
My dad's number one. My dad is the one who fostered my early ideas of art and what art can be and what art is. He was my first ever fan. My mom and him would probably argue over that one. They can have that argument.
It's a good argument to have.
It's a good argument to have. They both have been very, 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 very encouraging of me getting into art and facilitating my art. Every year I can remember as a child for Christmas and my birthday has been art supplies or books. Always those. Toys when I was younger, but man, there became a time where I was I'm referencing materials. I want to reference materials from a very early age.
Sure.
But yeah, my father, because I spent the most time with him drawing and being exposed to a lot of different things. And even then, man, whether he wants to be cool with it or agree with it or like it or not, a lot of the early influence in graffiti came from me going with him to work in the cities and being around exposed and stuff like that, where I'm like, I'm counting down each piece I saw on the freeways as I was going in. Or every time we were at a train crossing, I'm looking at trains and seeing pieces go by. I'm like, oh man, like, you know, you may not like it, homie, but I was on your watch and I saw this early ass shit, and I was exposed to shit on your watch, big dog. So, my bad. Sorry, Emilio. But your fault, Dad. But
I've been watching you, Dad.
Right.
Yeah.
Growing up too, man, you know, like when you get involved in comics and stuff like that, like, you know, a lot of comic artists that fucking blew me away, that like have molded me. There's so many. All the guys that departed from Marvel to go to Image, man.
Yeah.
Todd McFarlane, Rob Liefeld, Mark Silvestri, Will Sportacio, Jim Lee. Man, there's so many. There's that, you know, and that was the first part. Then when you get back into the old group, the old school style things, you know, you got Jack Kirby, the first artist to ever break the rules. Mm-hmm. Simon Ditko. Man, there's so many. Walt Simonson. I can go on and on about that stuff. And then
What about graffiti?
Graffiti. A lot of my own crewmates that I don't want to really shout out by name because of just like various levels of legality with how much they're involved in graffiti, because a lot of my friends that I came up with.
That's cool. You don't have to name any names.
They're still actively painting. They're still actively writing. But a lot of the old graffiti legends that I took a lot of influence from, Ramo Z, because that dude did more than just lettering and stuff. He made sculptures. He believed in the iconic panzerism, where it's you got to arm your letters, give your letters armor. They call it spelling because it casts spells,
right?
Things like that. Like he was a crazy person. Visionary is what the better word to be used for it, but he's a good guy to look up. Ramo Z. Dondi White was like one of the first style masters that ever exists. That dude was he was up and relevant in graffiti with over like 50 names. And he was doing all the trains, all the legal walls. He had passed away in the early 90s, I believe. Man, there's a lot. There's a lot of graffiti ones. It's kind of
What about outside of art? What
outside
about
of art?
Yeah, just people who have influenced you in terms of your own humanity and have maybe been a mentor of sorts, or, you know, more of a guide through life, that wasn't necessarily like in the creative world.
I don't have many that weren't creatives. A lot of them were creatives in that regard, which makes it feel weird now, because like I would think I'd have more non-creative people in my life that
but it makes sense.
mentorships. But
what you're saying makes sense.
Yeah, because even in you know, my mom being one of my best friends as well, like, you know, she's a photographer. She's a creative as well.
Creative,
you know?
yeah.
And she's given me a lot of like good insight on how to, like, you know, especially now in life with like dealing with the world and dealing as a parent myself with that. My daughter's
There you go.
she's a huge influence on my life.
Yeah.
And she has no idea in the way she does influence me.
Right.
But shout outs to my daughter. She got in her AP art program at her school.
Yeah,
She
saw
wrote a
post
letter.
about
She
that.
did 3 paintings for them, and
Nice.
she got in. And when I found out about it when I was at the convention over the weekend, I definitely shed a thug tear for that one. That was pretty cool.
That's so awesome.
But
man.
she's a big compass for my soul as far as outlook and things go. Like whether she wants to, you know, whether she understands it or not, she's very important to me. And,
She will one day.
Yeah. Oh, she's coming around. You know, I'm not always painted in the best light at that household. So, but my kids asking for more insight on things and whatnot, and you know, and one of my biggest important, like what I've learned from my parents and people in my life that are important to me is being useful is huge. And a love language I have is to be of purpose and of service. I like catering to friends that come out of town. Sometimes I hate Columbus, but I always love it when I'm showing people around. Same with Houston, same with places I'm from, New York, things like that. I would love when friends would come visit me when I lived in New York, because I'd be like, I could be a tourist in my own town.
Yeah.
And having purpose is big for me.
It's
you know?
huge.
It's not so cool now in the dating situation now, because like I can get it on my own, blah blah blah. So that's cool. It's all good. But like having a just being of use, being of service is
It's huge.
It's huge.
It fulfills the soul.
It does, man. It really does. I call it Spanish grandma syndrome, man. Yeah. I want to make sure everybody's eating. I want to make sure everybody's okay. I'll tuck my friends in the night, give them a little kiss in the forehead and shit. I was like, come on, I'm gonna be. Make sure you're okay. People love crashing at my house there in Helsinki, dude. It's a little tattletale. I tuck my friends in. I'm like, fucking comes up, feed you cable. We to put the AC on for you. Do you need anything? But and my own friends too. My own friends are a huge like spiritual guide and like thing for me that keeps me in center. Because like, man, sometimes they'll make me catch my own snap. A lot of my friends that don't make art, that are just friends to me as for being friends, those are some of my best friends.
Yeah.
Because there's no...
They sit outside your box, right? Outside your realm of thinking.
But they're there front and center to support. They're at every event. They're at everything that they can do, you know what I mean?
Sure.
But these motherfuckers have that other fucking angle where I'm sitting there cock blocking blessings and like good things happen. I'm standing in my own way and I got these homies be like, hey man, you better get out of your own fucking way because some good things are happening your way and your blinders are on too hard for you to realize it.
Yeah.
And without them, I would have missed out on a lot of really important things in my life.
So damn guilty of that myself, man. I'm so guilty of that.
And having friends that like aren't as hunkered down as we are about things. Like, there's going to be things that you and I can't see that we're going through that because we're going through our own versions of it ourselves.
Right.
But when you have those friends who like aren't as... just a whole different set of lifestyles and fucking things. You know what I mean? Like morally the same.
Yes.
Because you want to have your friends are like that. You know what I mean? But like
sure.
Morally sound people. But those who aren't as consumed with shit that like we are, they are sometimes the most best sources of advice and guidance.
Yeah.
That I've had in recent times. So
makes sense.
Yeah, but mentors in tattooing.
Yes. I
got to give Carrie Aldridge a big high five, Carrie, because you let me do these shows and just rep the shop and make sure I always had a job to come home to. He's a big his freeness of like
his willingness to be flexible.
Yeah, to let me go out and do things and teach me how to do my first show. He took me to my first convention I ever worked.
Yeah.
It taught me how to do it and giving me that leeway to go nuts and represent the shop and myself on the world stage like I have. Like it's never not take it. It's never take it for granted. Like I owe that man a lot. I say it in magazines. I credit Derb for letting me have as many opportunities as I've had with him, working with the Hell City situation over the last few years. Gunner and Russ Abbott have taught me a lot. They took me under their wings really early on. And
we're scheduling Gunner here. He's going to be on the podcast
man.
as well.
Awesome. Yeah, him and I didn't talk for some years, man, but we got tight again over the last year's Austin show, and it was good.
We'll be having him, man. Shout out to Gunner for sure.
Yeah, man. Tell him I said that. I credit him big time
for sure. He listens to the podcast. He said so.
Hell yeah,
he'll be hearing it.
But Gunner, I appreciate you. Russ Abbott taught me a lot of stuff too. Those are the influences I had that help form how I tattoo now. And obviously a lot of my friends are tattooing, my peers that tattoo, all you guys, man, that I've worked with, man. I learned a little bit from every single one of you dudes and dudettes.
It's awesome.
And dude theys and dude thems. I learned so much. But that's like my, I believe too, like it takes a village to, we're all amalgams of what we know and do. I don't believe in the term being self-taught in any capacity because you're not.
Absolutely.
You were taught by if you saw somebody doing something the wrong way and they got in trouble, they taught you that lesson.
That's right.
You know what I mean? You didn't teach it to yourself. You know
That's
what I mean?
right.
And also when you see what works and what formulaically works with somebody whose art that you aren't exposed to, you like and you work with and things like that, you're learning with the people that you work with. Yeah. You know what I mean? Oh, sorry.
But you're good. By
karate chopping the equipment here.
by merely like through osmosis almost, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're learning, from those around you.
There's a graffiti writer named Revs in New York. He did a lot of illegal stuff back in the day. I'm sure he's still active. I'm not the authority. I've not lived in New York for about 5 years now, but I have seen his stuff in person, and it's a lot of like. Later on, he was doing like metallic installations, and he was writing whole poems on subway walls that you would see. He got interviewed in a graffiti magazine a long time ago, and this thing stuck with me in this interview. He goes, if you're a 5 that works with nothing but 10s, by default, you'll become a 10.
For sure.
If you're a 10 that surrounds him or herself around nothing but 5s, by default, over time, you're going to be a 5. You're gonna devolve.
Yeah. You'll regress.
Yeah, you'll regress. Like, that's why, like, I don't like looking at bad tattoos or bad art. Like when people want to show, like, dude, you see that one snake pit picture, the titties and shit. It's like, no, I act. It's funny. Trust me. I want to laugh all the time.
Sure.
But if I look at shitty or subpar work on purpose, subconsciously I learn to just start cutting corners on things not being that. Oh, that's not that bad then. And then when I start to settle on things like that, and everybody was settled, complacency is nobody's fucking immune to it. Complacency hits everybody in some way, shape, or form. You got to fight that shit off like it's the plague. But with complacency, you learn to accept those things when you're exposed to mediocre or subpar shit.
Totally.
That's what I believe in mediocre art. I just don't like to look at stuff that's not pushing the gamut on things. And it's not me just being disrespectful to other people's skill sets. It's just that when I want to curate what I'm going to choose to look at every fucking day on social media or on YouTube and things like that, I want to make sure I'm looking at stuff that's going to like better me in some way, shape, or form, either be spiritually or artistically. Yeah. Because I don't have the time to inundate myself with the amount of hours that are in the day with shit that is whack. Because over time, I'm going to start being like, okay, it's cool.
Yeah. You'll become whack.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, it's not like not caring, because you can still care. Like what I want to start doing now is I want to start making pieces that I can take a long time on that still command the same respect. I'm not trying to make 50,000 pieces in a year that are all awesome. I'm cool with 5, as long as they all look good. You know what I mean? And like you can calm down and get complacent, I guess, in that resolve as far as like, you don't have to be a fucking printing press at all times or race everybody for content making. You don't have to do that. That doesn't matter. Yeah. But what does matter is the quality of your work, and quality beats quantity most times. And I'm learning that more and more as I get older, man. I know I've tried to marry the two, but it's hard to do that. It's very hard to do that. And, quality is winning the game. And I feel like as long as what I'm looking at is it making me get complacent in the quality department, then it's suitable material for me to digest. Yeah. Other than that, I don't want to be around any bad or whack shit. And if I'm in a situation where I'm being exposed to that kind of stuff, like, be it in a convention environment or things like that, I just like kind of just bow out, or I'll just change the subject with somebody. Yeah. If I don't want to talk tattoo to somebody who's like set on them being like the coolest dude in the room about shit, I get it, man. You love yourself. That's fucking rad. That's cool. But like, I'll quit with being, hey, you like sports, and I will purposely go far as fuck away from art as possible to save more so my fucking state of mind. Because like that psychic vampire shit's also very, very plentiful in this business, and I don't want to deal with that shit.
It's all ego, though, right? You think about it, it's all ego.
It's there for self-preservation, but it's not always your amigo.
It's definitely not.
Because same with anger,
but it's not just self-preservation, right? Think about it. Like you let your ego sort of get the best of you in terms of like, oh, how am I on this chopping block? Do I compare? And then you want that acknowledgement, and that's just your ego. That's just your ego wanting to be fed.
Your ego is why you get good at something too to begin with.
It's true.
It's like anger. Empires were built in anger. Yeah. Entire empires and cultures were built off one dude's anger, or lady's anger, or whoever's anger, and then it's also they've fallen twice as quickly. Yeah. The same coin. You know what I mean? So like, there's a reason why anger exists in all of us. Egos, we have egos that exist. Like, it's there for as a form of self-preservation.
It is,
but
it's we need it, right? We can't kill our egos, obviously.
Yeah, we need it to a degree, right? Everybody always like ego death. I was like, all right, Joe Rogan, calm the fuck down. Yeah, mushrooms are cool.
It's a delicate balance, right? It's really delicate.
You got to fight it off at bay to where it doesn't do you a disservice, right?
So, what do you think your purpose is as an artist right now? Not just in skill, but spirit.
With the audience that I've amassed, I think for those who are stuck with me in the long run as far as supporting my art, looking at my art, engaging in it, and choosing to wear it in the future or has chosen to wear it in the past, I just want to maintain my standard of my art, not let them down in that regard as far as like making good pieces and stepping gradually in the direction that I want to take my work in. That's the present purpose, I guess, is don't let anybody down and keep consistent with what I've got going on. Keep people having fun. A lot of people have fun looking at my work, and I want to keep that fun alive in what I got going on. For future purpose, I'm gonna knock these comic books out. I want to make some toys. I want some cartoon-based type shit popping off. I want to make a universe of my characters and things like that. And that goes beyond tattooing. Tattooing can have a part in that, but I've very much used tattooing as my vehicle to push my actual art agenda, and that's worked out very well, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Especially having working with Marvel and Stanley Collectibles separately, you know. That's what my future like purpose I feel like is just to, you know, have a nice little corner of the world and like, you know, with my little characters and creations hanging out with little underbitten tigers and crazy little yokai demons and shit. I want to have that out there as toys and as art and things like that, you know, and have my, you know, my little comic world going on, you know, where it's all like under the Tevenal umbrella of my creative efforts and shit like that.
Right.
That's my future purpose. That's the purpose I feel like I should be here. It's to share all the shit that lives up here because there's so much of it. It'll be out there. I'm gonna get it out there as best as I can. That's my lifelong goal, is to get the shit out there and consumable for the masses because I want people to see that stuff.
You're doing it, bro. You're doing it.
Try my best.
We got a couple more questions for you.
Yeah.
This one I got to ask. How do you hope your work speaks to the next generation of artists, especially young Latinos or tattooers of color coming up in the game? Do you feel like new up and coming artists that you might come across like in conventions or anywhere else or online or whatever that know that you're of like Latino descent, and I'm sure this has happened to you, have you had them come to you for perhaps advice, or they're looking to you like for some guidance?
I think it's more just you know, it's like culture, like, hey, I see you, do you see me? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And
right.
You know, there's visibility.
Right, visibility.
There's that. If I could give advice to younger people and younger people of color and from, you know, Latin based, you know, like upbringings.
All of them, obviously,
but
yes.
It doesn't belong to anybody. This doesn't belong to anybody. It's no more ours than it is theirs. We just do with it. We have more to do with it. With what we like, you know, with how we came up. We come from the formidable days, the formative days of what's made it so widely digestible now. On both the graffiti and the tattoo side of things. Like a lot of eggs. We were the eggs that got cracked to make the omelet that you guys now enjoy. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Does that make
true? It's so true.
And that's that. Like, it doesn't belong to anybody. You know, you can, you know, just I guess keep in mind of what you're inheriting, but don't let anybody keep it from you.
Yeah.
Because nobody kept it from us. If we didn't find an apprenticeship in one place, we went somewhere else.
Yep.
In my case, I got shut down a lot, and I fucking scratched for a while.
Yeah.
I did house tattoos. Thank God there was disposable products involved. That could have fucking hurt some people back in the day.
Yeah.
But inevitably, I got in a shop situation, had to relearn.
Yeah.
That happens. You're gonna learn. It's gonna happen to anybody. You know what I mean? If you get in that type of situation. But the amount of gatekeeping that happens, that's not for the basis of security, for the lore of what tattooing is intrinsically, where it's just people being fucking dickheads.
Yeah.
Don't settle for that shit. Tattooing and graffiti and things like that, you can have those too. You gotta get in there. You gotta stake your fucking claim in it.
Yeah.
And
have you heard what Corey Miller said? Corey Miller, I saw a clip of his, and I shout out to Corey Miller, who's
I've had a chance to meet him a couple times.
Fucking
He's
amazing.
Awesome,
yeah, he's super cool dude. Mm-hmm. He said, yeah, he said, yeah, gatekeeping's fine, but for those of you who are trying to get in, just go around the back door.
Bingo. I saw that clip.
Find your way in.
Yeah.
Find your way in.
That's what I'm saying too. You know, I'm just like, you know, like it's for everybody.
And I agree. Yeah. I most certainly agree.
Do good by it. Just do good by it and understand what came before it. Because what became before you is how you know how to bend it differently. Like, we don't need any more torchbearers. We don't need any more fire keepers. We have so many of those. I get that. If you want to be that, that's cool. Go nuts. It doesn't need to be reinvented.
Right.
Not most things don't need to be reinvented. You can throw your own spin on things, and that's what everybody's going to in some way, shape, or another. But you know, just keep in mind what comes before you, because that's how you'll know when to freak it. When you know how to draw a skull from reference 50,000 times over, you know how to make a skull stylized in the right spots to make that shit look sexy as fuck. Because you're informed of what you've got. You're informed of you have a well-informed design.
Totally.
You can have your career and your curated knowledge what you do, be well informed as well. And that'll give you an opportunity to know when to freak certain things, to bend the rules in your favor, to make you have the style that you will ultimately collectively cultivate in the future for yourself. That's all I have as far as.
No, that's great, man. That's great.
It's not so much like, culturally narrowed down to certain things that it works for everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. So what's one piece of advice or self-instruction you'd give to your younger self?
I'd give myself a really big hug and tell him that everything's going to be fine. I would tell my younger self to slow down. I would tell, like I just had to. I would tell my younger self to slow down and that everybody's racing to a red light and just be a little bit more mindful. I would have stopped to smell the roses a lot more.
Yeah. It's a good analogy. We're all headed towards a red light. It's true. It's all going to end at some point.
Absolutely, man.
What's the hurry?
Yeah, seriously. I've had nobody tell me how cool the guest spot in heaven was. So, yeah, straight up, man. There's like other drink coupons. Like, what the fuck? What's the VIP like, dude? Like, you know what I mean? Like, when's it closed, dude? Like, nobody's got back to me about that. So, yeah, as far as I'm concerned, man, like, yeah, I would tell younger me just to calm the fuck down. I would avoid certain types of people. A lot of toxic, cancerous people that are not conducive for future growth. I would just tell myself just to slow the fuck down. You know what I mean? And it's not that serious. It's not that serious.
Yeah.
Because if you would have asked me, in the fucking thick of the beginning, the crescendo of me getting popular and what I was doing and whatnot, in the beginning of all the opportunities I was given, it would be a vastly different situation. But yeah, I would tell myself to slow the fuck down, stop and smell the roses a little bit more, and that everything's going to be okay.
It's great, man.
Don't trip. Just don't trip. Because I was tripping, man.
Yeah.
I would tell myself that.
That's just bad on your health anyway, right? Like,
and
stress,
basically,
cortisol levels.
Yeah, and a lot of that was not having a lot of security and things. And I feel like that's just me giving a younger me who needed more security, who was very insecure, the security that was lacking.
Yeah.
That's what I would say to my younger self. Just to calm the fuck down and like the other things I said.
Fuck yeah,
just
bro.
chill the fuck out.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Well, bro, we're at the end of our podcast here, and we have one more thing to ask. One more thing, and we ask all our guests to do this, and it's a segment we like to call the breakdown. The breakdown. So we ask our guests to take a famous quote or a mantra of some type that really resonates with them, and just share it with our audience, and let's break it down a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I've got two.
Yeah.
Got two. It used to be. I believe Ben Franklin said it. Plow deep while sluggards sleep. So, don't sleep, man. Rest is for the wicked, whatever, or the rest for the weak, or I don't fucking know. I'll sleep when I'm dead. Blah, blah, blah. No, I used to have that one. I was big on that. Like, fucking work hard, blah, 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 blah. And yeah, it paid off. It was an adage that worked for a while. But these days, it's not the case. Like I said earlier, just to tell myself to slow down and to pace things out. And like what I've said earlier throughout this podcast, what I live by now is nothing is that serious. Nothing is that serious at all. Everything's a fucking joke. In a good way, though. In a good way.
Yes.
Everything's a fucking joke, though.
For sure.
Nothing is that serious. Nothing gives me more of a flaccid boner than fucking... People would take themselves way too seriously, dude. When I meet those types, I'm like, oh, God, no. All right, well, you have a good time with your fucking self because you already are. Yeah, I'm not into that shit at all, dude. No way, man. Just nothing's that serious, man. Just learn to fucking laugh, dude. Seriously. People just get so up their own fucking asses. They think they're in their own movie.
It's true.
It's fucking corny.
And I mean, I guess we kind of all are in our own movie,
but
right?
Man, don't make the fucking thing suck and don't punish people. If I'm going to be your friend and watch it with you, I guess, I don't want it. Don't make it suck, dude. This is fucking garbage,
it's
dude.
It's like you have the choice. Do you want to make it a comedy?
Yeah,
Do you want to make it a drama?
Just be chill. But I know, man, we all know people are just like, yeah, man, I live my life, man.
Yeah.
Tough, rough life, man. Like, I had it too, man. My dad whipped my ass also, brother. I get it. I don't fucking know, man. Like, just this dude, nah, man, everything's okay. It's fine. We're all
right.
We're all right, man.
Like, what good is that going to do to hang on to?
Yeah,
hang on to that for?
Everything's cool, man. Nothing is that serious.
Yeah.
I don't need to make 1,000 fucking paintings in a fucking day anymore.
Yeah.
I didn't need to then.
Right.
I don't know where the fuck I got that from. I mean, I do toxic fucking direction and shit, but
Sure.
still, no, man, nothing's that fucking crazy. Nothing's that serious. I live by that now, man, straight up. Things are serious, don't get me wrong, you know what I mean?
Sure.
But like in the grand scheme of things, dude, what the fuck's happening, man? Like nothing. It's, whatever, you guys get it. That's that. It used to be like, yo, work your ass off, man, hustle and flow. Fucking get rich or die trying, baby. Now it's just fucking... It's like a Step Brothers movie or something, dude. I don't fucking care, man. Give me a fucking... I play D&D now, dude. Get the fuck out of here, man. Straight up. Yeah, I don't know. I love how dad jokes and fucking stupid internet memes. I don't care anymore. Whatever.
That's
Sorry,
amazing,
guys.
dude.
That's all I got. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man.
This is
Seriously,
fun.
dude.
Some
It's
wild
been such a
shit.
pleasure and an honor to have you, man. We've been
Thanks for having me. I
wanting
appreciate it.
to share this space with you for a long time, dude.
I'm happy
so.
you let me come
Yeah.
here and see you. Great, you have a great space here.
Thanks,
this is
man.
cool.
Appreciate it. That's
Appreciate
right.
you guys.
Shout out to Ion Tattoo here in Dublin,
Big
Dublin
ups.
area, Columbus, Ohio.
Oh yeah.
So thanks, Iggy, for letting us record here.
Yeah, thanks, Iggy.
Thank you, Iggy.
Appreciate it.
So stupid.
It's fun.
Hell yeah, man. All right, man. Well, not that anybody needs to know where to find you, but where can people find you and your work?
Memento Tattoos at Columbus, Ohio, and Grandview. DaveTattoos.com on my website. Dave Tattoos on Instagram. Dave Tattoos on Facebook. Yep, that's
Dave
it.
Tattoos.
Dave Tattoos. And I'm working a lot of conventions this year. I'll be at the
Oh yeah, tell us where you're headed next. You were just in Louisville.
Memphis. Huntsville, Alabama. Memphis. Hell City here in Columbus. Dallas, Texas. Houston, Texas. Las Vegas. Grand Rapids, Michigan. Madison, Wisconsin. Hell City, Phoenix.
You sound like you're doing Hell City Phoenix this year.
I'm going to go there. I'm going to be fat in the pool.
Fuck yeah,
The
bro.
shop's got a booth. I'm going to be sitting there.
Oh, really?
I'm getting my big ass tan,
Oh
baby.
man, I can't wait. We're going to not the shop, but I'm going. My wife and I.
I'm going to be going
so.
on the water slide, blocking that bitch up. I'm going to be fighting nobody at the pool.
That's right.
Be fighting
Do
nobody.
you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Do you remember me trying to stop
Oh yeah,
you?
you and Rich Cook, man.
And you
RP to Rich Cook, by the way.
Yes,
It was
RIP
great,
to
great
Rich.
dude, man. Columbus
Yes.
tattoo legend here.
Yes, man.
Yeah, I remember that.
I tried to grab your right arm and you flung me like a fucking flea.
Yeah, we were getting crazy. Hey, you know, man, whatever. Things
it was
happen.
fun.
Fun times at Hell City High, dude.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, nah, man. But Phoenix is fun. I went there a couple years back, a few times. But yeah, it'll be cool. The shop's got a booth this year, and
That's
we're just
awesome.
I'm gonna be hanging out.
I can't wait, man. Can't wait to see all you guys then. 'Cause
Yeah,
I'll be there as well.
It'll be fun. That'll be a little reunion. We need
It will be. It'll totally be a
Yeah,
cool
but no.
ass reunion.
And then the last show of the year, I will be working in
Puerto
Puerto
Rico.
Rico. I'll be selling prints and doing art there.
Awesome.
And I'll be staying for about a week later to see my family down there and hang out.
It's so awesome, dude.
Yeah, you'll be
yeah.
there for that.
Yeah.
We'll
Fuck
be hanging
yeah,
out
bro.
in La Isla de Encanta.
La Isla del Encanto.
Yeah, del
That's right.
Encanto.
Del Encanto.
Yeah. Lo siento. My Spanish be bad sometimes.
It's all good, man. It's all good.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what I'll be
Your
at.
love. Thanks, bro. Thanks for
Thank
being
you very
here.
much. I appreciate you.
Till next time, everybody.
Till next time. Peace.